What's up guys, I'm Vocal Strike and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. Last time we defeated Yami Bakura, Odeon, and Ishizu and got to meet Yami Marik. This time we are jumping straight into the finals with Clash in the Coliseum. More and more fell to the power of Marik. Marik dueled Bakura for the Millennium Ring and won. It was now time for the semi-finals. The first match was Joey versus Marik. Marik's power was so great that the Winged Dragon of Ra sent Joey to the hospital. It seemed nothing could stop Marik's reign of terror. The second semi-final would determine who would face off against Marik. It was Yugi versus Kaiba, fighting for the first time since their battle in Duelist Kingdom. Yugi: we mustn't let Joey's struggle interfere with our concentration. Remember, in order to overcome Marik, we must get past Kaiba. Well, Yugi. So you decided to show up after all. Of course. To miss this duel is to deny my destiny. Spare me the drama. So why didn't the nerd herd show up to cheer you on? Are they too busy trying to wake Wheeler up from his nap? Joey is in a great deal of danger now. More than you could ever know. Wheeler shouldn't have been here in the first place. I warned him not to play with the big boys, and if you ask me, he got what he deserved. A slap in the face by Ra. And if getting attacked by an Egyptian god card didn't knock any sense into that kid, then nothing will. That's enough, Kaiba. You have no idea how dangerous this Duel Monsters tournament of yours has become. The outcome of the Battle City Finals could put the whole world at risk. The only one at risk is you. For once I win, you won't be number one. Kaiba, it's not always about being number one. It's about dueling with bravery, honor, and respect. And most importantly, putting the needs of others ahead of your own. And that's something Joey Wheeler did every day of his life. Yugi. In ancient times, Roman gladiators would battle to their doom in order to prove who was the strongest. Now it's our turn to see which one of us deserves to call himself the greatest in the world. So draw your first card and let the battle begin. With pleasure, Kaiba. Yugi has the Slifer the Sky Dragon, and Kaiba has Obelisk the Tormentor. The four finalists was Yugi, Kaiba, Joey, and Marik. How they determined the finalists was that they were all doing a four-way dual battle royale. And the first two to lose all their life points goes up against each other in the finals. It's more or less to determine who goes up against who in the finals, not to get kicked out of the tournament. I got Dark Paladin and Black Skull Dragon. Now, they also skipped an entire arc in this case. That being the virtual world arc. There was actually one event that I did not mention before that happened between Battle City and Duelist Kingdom, and it involves the Big Five and the virtual world. We swap Egyptian gods. What happened is that the Big Five traps Kaiba inside a virtual world of his own creation. And try to get rid of Kaiba that way. manages to get Yugi and his friends to help him help save him, and they agreed. Damn, another dead hand. Oh, this is not starting off well. So when the game was starting to fail, and they were actually inching closer to saving Kaiba, the Big Five stepped in wow. I lost. And they create the five-headed dragon. But Yugi and his friends win, Kaiba is free from the virtual world, and the Big Five get trapped inside the virtual world. Then on the way to the Battle City Finals location, the blimp gets dragged in via a tractor beam from a Kaiba Corp's manufactured battle submarine. And what was weighing, which then the people inside then all trapped Yugi and his friends, and even the finalists except for Yami Marik, Ishizu, and I think Odeon and Mai, since they were also unconscious at the time. So it was the Big Five, Gozoboro Kaiba, and Noah Kaiba that were all trying revenge against Kaiba. And the entire virtual world arc is literally just meant to kind of help flesh out the like Kaiba's history and the company's history, which is all well and good. I just wish there was they chose a better place to really kind of put it, rather than just in the middle of the Battle City tournament, the Battle City arc. And they also had their own rules. They still followed the same master rules at the time, but every single duelist had to choose a monster from their deck, and that would be their deck master. Their deck master had their own unique abilities. And but if the deck master, and you could even choose to summon it onto the field without having to pay any sort of tribute. Summon it without having to pay a tribute. And they can even use it for fusion summoning, among other things. So they can treat it just like if it was any other monster. However, if the deckmaster was destroyed by any means, you automatically lose the duel. If you used the deckmaster for a fusion summon, that fusion monster, or really just any extra deck summoning, that extra deck monster would become your new deckmaster. So if it gets destroyed, you automatically lose. Basically after basically the story of it is that after Gozoboro Kaiba, lost the company to Seto Kaiba, he disappeared and trapped himself in the same virtual world with his son Noah, with his actual biological son Noah. And how Noah got into the virtual world was that there was an incident and Noah's body was destroyed, so they put his mind in a virtual world in order to keep him alive. And Gozoboro actually tried to find every every possible way to try to bring him back. And when he adopted Kaiba, And he basically pushed Kaiba, since he was already genius level intellect. He pushed Kaiba pretty much nearly to the breaking point. All for the sake of using Kaiba as a body, using Kaiba's body and mind to store Noah and to get rid of Seto Kaiba, which he had a bit of a grudge with. Kaiba and Mokuba lost their real parents at an extremely young age and stayed in an orphanage. So what ended up happening is that when Gozoboro came in, Kaiba challenged him to a game of chess, which Kaiba remained undefeated in the entire orphanage. And there was an agreement between them that if Kaiba wins, Gozoboro adopts both him and Mokuba. Gozoboro didn't want to do it at first because he was a kid and he didn't want to waste his time. So he started calling him a coward, which he had the pride, of course. He had pride, of course, which didn't sit well with him. So at that point he was thinking, okay, I guess I can actually spare a few minutes to utterly crush a child who's bitten off more than he can chew. So he underestimated Kaiba, and Kaiba ended up winning. But being raised by Gozoboro is also kind of what made Kaiba to what he is now. So they all plotted revenge, and the agreement was that whoever loses would lose their body. So if any of the big five, Noah or Gozoboro, loses, they remain trapped in the virtual world forever. If any of Yugi and the others loses, they lose their bodies to the big five, and they get to leave into the real world as a result. Gozoboro and the others all ended up being defeated, and even Noah turned over a new leaf to stop Gozoboro after Gozoboro kind of revealed that he only planned on using him anyway. So, not exactly Father of the Year material. And Gozoboro actually dueled Kaiba and Duel Monsters using an Exodia deck. And he had all 5 pieces in his hand, turn 1, before ever drawing a single card. But he did not use them. He instead wanted to send them to the graveyard to bring out another Exodia card that gets different abilities I think his name was an Exodia Necros. And it gets different abilities depending on each piece that's in the graveyard. So when it had all 5 pieces of Exodia, Necros was essentially an unstoppable monster that even the gods probably couldn't get rid of. But Kaiba ends up winning, and they all escape the virtual world, and thus continues the Battle City and moves on to the finals that we are at now. And Noah, the Big Five, and Gozoboro Kaiba are never heard or seen from again. You lose, Kaiba. I told you your hatred and your lust for power would never prevail. I did it, but my toughest battle is still ahead, when I face Marik in the final duel. And thus, Yugi gets Obelisk the Tormentor. So now we end the Battle City arc in the final face-off. The time had come for the final face-off. Yugi versus Marik, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. I have been waiting for this moment for my entire life. Soon your infinite power will be mine. Marik, not only will I defeat you, I'll free you from the darkness that controls you. Now that I'd like to see. Yeah, the actual good Marik is actually reaching out to Shizu to basically help them save Marik from Yami Marik. Also, in the duel between Yugi and Kaiba, Kaiba created a holographic Roman-style Colosseum while they're at it. While they were dueling, rather. Yeah, I don't need to. Anyway, this is also the duel where we finally get to face the Winged Dragon of Ra, which there really is no guarantee that we're going to be seeing it. The Winged Dragon of Ra has actually the most differences in terms of abilities between the anime and the manga. In the anime, the Winged Dragon of Ra has all the same conditions as Slifer and Obelisk. Sacrifice 3 monsters, cannot be affected, sacrifice 3 monsters to normal summon it, cannot be affected by spell traps or monster effects, summoning cannot be negated, etc, etc. However, it also has the most special abilities out of all of the Egyptian gods, to the point to where there is absolutely no way to there's absolutely no way to actually fit it all on the card. Oh, okay, I might as well just play 2. Whoops. I thought it couldn't be destroyed. Oopsies. Anyway, there were so many different abilities for the Winged Dragon of Ra in the anime and manga that there was honestly no way that they could actually fit it all in the card without it being readable. The anime abilities of the Winged Dragon of Ra is the attack and defense are equal to the combined respective attack and defense of all monsters tributed to summon it. So if you tribute, like, say, a bunch of really strong monsters, then this isn't good. When special summoned, this card is immune to any card effects and conditions that would prevent it from attacking. When special summoned, the Duelist option other than Egyptian God Phoenix mode is that the Duelist can pay all but one of their life points to increase the attack and defense of Ra by the same amount of life points paid. The Duelist can then choose to tribute any other monsters they control to add their attack and defense to Ra's attack and defense. Also, it can attack all monsters the opponent controls as well as attack directly afterwards. Under these circumstances, Ra is treated as a fusion monster, and if targeted by defusion, its attack points drops to 0 while the Duelist's life points increases by an amount equal to what Ra's attack had been. Then, if Ra attacked, its attack is negated. The Duelist can special summon Ra as Egyptian God Phoenix, which is its Phoenix mode, where its attack cannot be negated. It cannot be destroyed by battle. You take 0 battle damage from battles involving it, and it is immune to all card effects. When Egyptian God Phoenix battles with a monster, the Duelist can pay 1000 life points to destroy that monster at the start of the damage step. So yeah, the Winged Dragon of Ra is also incredibly broken. Also, the Winged Dragon of Ra also has a chant to it. When it was first summoned against Mai, the Winged Dragon of Ra had a text on it that could... I lost this one. That had to be chanted in order to actually be summoned by the owner. It started off in its sphere mode. And the chant was, Almighty protector of the sun and sky, I beg of thee, please heed my cry. Transform thyself from orb of light and bring me victory in this fight. I beseech thee, grace our humble game. But first I shall call out thy name, Winged Dragon of Ra. The only people, however, it was also in ancient Egyptian text. The only people who could actually read it are people who could actually learn the text, actually, study it like Marik and Ishizu did, or people who had ancient Egyptian heritage, like in the case with Yugi and Kaiba. However, the Winged Dragon of Ra's official card abilities is that basically what they did with Ra is that they split up his Sphere mode, Normal mode, and Phoenix mode into 3 separate cards to kind of basically try to mirror the anime as much as possible. The Normal mode Winged Dragon of Ra says it cannot be special summoned, requires 3 tributes to normal summon, cannot be normal set. This card's normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summon, other cards and effects cannot be activated, so all the same stuff, except it can't actually be special summoned at all, except unlike Slifer and Obelisk. It also doesn't have any permanent protection like Obelisk does. When this card is normal summoned, you can pay life points that you only have 100 left. This card gains attack and defense equal to the amount of life points paid. You can pay 1000 life points, then target one monster on the field and destroy that target. So you basically are kind of given 2 choices. You either pay almost all of your life points to where you only have 100 left, so that literally any attack can just take you down immediately. Or you can keep, but also at the same time get a lot of tap and defense points, possibly. Or you can keep its attack and defense points at 0, pay 1,000 life points every time you want to use the effect to destroy your opponent's monsters, and you can do that as many times as you want. So no matter what, the Winged Dragon of Ra has a really high upkeep. I guess I can use this for tribute summoning. So the Winged Dragon of Ra in the anime and the manga is the strongest of the Egyptian gods. But in the official card game, he is the weakest of the Egyptian gods. So they also turned Ra's... So Ra does have 3 different modes: Sphere Mode, Normal Mode, and Phoenix Mode. And they turned the Phoenix Mode and the Sphere Mode into actual proper cards. The Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode's card text says, cannot be special summoned, requires 3 tributes from either side of the field to normal summon to that side of the field. Cannot be normal set. Then shift control to this card's owner during the end phase of the next turn. Cannot attack. Your opponent cannot target this card for attacks or by card effects. You contribute this card to special summon one Winged Dragon of Ra from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. If you do, its attack and defense become 4,000. So you can use the Sphere Mode to not only get rid of 3 of your opponent's monsters, but also bring it over to your side and get a monster that has the same stats as Obelisk. So that way you wouldn't have... And you could still activate all of the normal mode's standard effects. The Phoenix Modes card is known as the Winged Dragon of Ra Immortal Phoenix, and it has 4,000 attack and defense points by default. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by its own effect if the Winged Dragon of Ra is sent from the field to your graveyard while this card is in your graveyard. Special summon this card. Cards and effects cannot be activated in response to this effect's activation. This card is unaffected by other cards effects. You can pay 1,000 life points, send 1 monster on the field to the graveyard. Once per turn, during your end phase, send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon 1 Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode from your hand deck or graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. So if you can actually set it up right, you can permanently keep bringing back the Winged Dragon of Ra with a consistent 4,000 attack and defense points. Yeah. So there is that. So the Winged Dragon of Ra does have some decent support, but I can't remember for the life of me if Sphere Mode and Immortal Phoenix is actually in this game. Actually, what's my fusion? Dark Paladin. Might as well beat him with a god. Also, on another note, Kaiba doesn't believe in any of the magic at all in the anime, but he actually does have some belief in it in the manga. What I don't get is, why doesn't Kaiba actually believe that a lot of this magic is real, when there has been more than enough evidence to prove it? I mean, yeah, sure, Kaiba's stubborn, but come on. Master Marik. Brother, please tell me you're alright. Marik, it's over. Your evil side has been banished forever. It's finally over, my pharaoh. Yes, and the darkness has lifted from your heart. Marik has overpowered the evil that controlled him for so long. My pharaoh, thank you. You saved mankind. We did. I wouldn't have been victorious had it not been for all of you. Pharaoh, rest assured that everyone who was banished to the Shadow Realm by my dark side will return. Speaking of which, this is, of course, was a shadow game. And in the shadow game, whenever you lose life points, each person's other side, Yugi in Yami Yugi's case and Marik in Yami Marik's case, would disappear and go to the shadows. However, they actually managed to get, Yami Yugi used the power of the Millennium Puzzle to have Yami Marik and Marik switch places. And then Marik surrendered, effectively getting rid of Yami Marik forever. Thank you. I have one more task to perform before my Tomb Keeper's mission is complete. Witness the secret of the Pharaoh's power inscribed on my back. These markings were passed down by my family from generation to generation for 5,000 years. We were taught that when the ancient Pharaoh saved the world from destruction, he wiped his own memory clean. But he knew that someday he would return and he'd need his memory back. So he entrusted one family with his greatest secret, the key to unlocking his mind and his power. Now that you hold the 3 Egyptian god cards, the Millennium Puzzle, all you need to do is read the words on Marik's back. We're so close. You are so close. It's time for us to leave now, Pharaoh. So please take this. The Millennium Rod belongs with you, where it won't cause any more harm. Thank you. And take this as well. The Millennium Ring is safest with you. With Yugi now possessing all the Millennium items and the 3 Egyptian god cards, he can now make sure that the Shadow Games would never return. And of course, we also get the Winged Dragon of Ra. Now, here's the thing though, is that it was either in GX or it was in this duel, where I actually didn't... No, it was in GX. It was actually in this duel, where I got the signature cards were Slifer and Obelisk, but I didn't get Ra. So in the next episode, we will be starting the Waking the Dragons arc in A New Evil. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and ring that bell, and I will see you all in the next episode.